everybody, it's Julie. Thanks for joining me today for a fun and messy Bible journaling process video. We are journaling actually a couple of verses here in James and Hebrews, and I'm showing you this page because this is a mess up page. I actually had a water spill in my Bible, and it caused this bleed through from the opposing page, this Wisdom Goals page, and you can see just that mess, the black and the blue, and there's actually some gold mess over there. It went through, and so I'm covering it with these Distress Oxide inks. These are new, and I'm playing around with them, and I'm also going to use this Sweet and Sassy Stamps set called Scribble Flowers. So what we're going to do, I'm supporting the Bible because I'm at the end of the Bible towards the back with this box here underneath my Bible. That's just a tip. Put something underneath so that it's not pulling. And here's what I'm doing. I'm using this blue. This is called, I'll link the color. I can't remember what it is. And I'm using the Distress Oxide, which is different from regular Distress inks. It's actually a combination of a dye ink and a pigment ink. And I'm using the blending tool from Tim Holtz. And I'm speeding this up because it's a slow process, but I'm just blending it in. Now notice how I tap off over on the edge, on the side, the first impression so that I just get some of that first ink off so that it doesn't have too much of an impression there. And so I just blend it in, I'm swirling, and I am pushing pretty hard here. The problem with this page is it's all crinkly because of the water mess that I had. So I'm not getting a really clear, you can see this, I'm not getting just a very smooth look. That's going to be okay, it's going to end up being all right, but be aware that you're probably going to get, if it's a flat page, a new page, you're going to get a much better blend than I'm getting right now. So I'm just blending it in by swirling and kind of pulling it around. Now this actually is kind of hard on my arm. If you have watched any of my videos, you know I've had a bum arm the last few months. So I end up having to take a break and rest. I'm having to pull the page and really press down on it. So I do end up, it's not that it's a difficult process, but it's just a little tough for me right now. And I'm using, this is Worn Lipstick, that's the color of the blue one. And, the top one is the, I think it's the blue jeans, the denim. Again, I can't remember, I will link it though. And then this one down here is a green color, cracked pistachio, something like that. I don't remember, oh my goodness. But like I said, I will be sure to link these colors. I love these three colors. Actually, these are the only three that they had at my Michael's. I think everybody swooped them all up. So again, I'm just blending them together. Now notice how already you can't quite see all of that mess that's up there. You can still see it, but it's not as noticeable. And what we're going to end up doing is just completely covering it up, because we're going to be doing some distressing and some stamping over this. And so now I'm squirting it, just spritzing it with some water. The Distress Oxides will activate with water, and I'm drying it. Notice how it dries. It kind of, the water spots, it's almost like they bleach out. They leave a little bit of a white, the Distress Oxide inks just kind of fade away right there. Now it does bleed through, especially where it was water. And then it just was kind of a ghost, a shadow, where I just blended it through. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp. Now this whole page, it's kind of representative of the actual verses, and I just thought the whole process was amazing how God worked this out. I picked three different floral stamps because I'm going with a grow motif here, and let me read to you the verses as you watch me stamping here. Now again, these pages are crinkly because of the water spill that I had a few weeks ago, and then I had to dry them. So I'm not getting a very good impression. You're going to see me fight here, and also my Bible is very, very chunky, and so I'm just fighting right here with these stamped impressions. So I'm going to end up fixing that by just stamping them on white cardstock and fussy cutting them out. you'll see how that all works out. But it all just goes along with the whole motif here. So I'm going to read these verses. In James, which is on the opposite page, it says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when you're tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow, for when endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete." Oh, that's just gorgeous, isn't it? That is just so powerful. So when we're tested, that's when we can grow. And then on this page, which is Hebrews 13, verse 21, it says, "May he equip you with all you need for doing his will. May he produce in you," that's another word for grow, "may he grow in you through the power of Jesus Christ, every good thing that is pleasing to him. All glory to him forever and ever. Amen." So my motif, I'm thinking about growing because I've been struggling. I feel like I've been tested through various means. Satan's just been testing me, but I want God to grow me. So what I'm stamping here, I stamped these flowers. I stamped a couple of bees, and again, I was fighting with the bees and the stamps there. And what I'm going to stamp now is it's going to say power and trials grow me. So it ends up saying his power and my trials grow me. Now these particular stamps that I'm using, this is a brand new stamp set that I got from Sweet and Sassy Stamps. And then this little alpha stamp set is also a Sweet and Sassy Stamps. All of these stamps that I'm using are from the wonderful Sweet and Sassy Stamps. And these are just two different stamp sets. I will certainly link them in the comments section. And they're just fun. They're easy to use. I love the clear acrylic stamps. They're just, you can pick them up, you can rearrange them, you can see through them. But again, that's what I was fighting with. I thought that you can generally fix and just stamp over your mistakes, but this page was just a mess. It was just a hot mess with the way it was just so crinkly and messed up beforehand. But this was all for me, this process and the way it worked out was a lot like how I am. I am just a hot mess, and I am just wrinkly and messed up, but God is able to cover me and to produce wonderful things through me. And that's what I'm stamping here. His power and my trials grow me. So the whole symbolism of the flowers, it's just about growing something beautiful. So what you saw me do was stamp those images, the bees and the flowers, over on the white cardstock, and I ended up fussy cutting those out. You know, I could have left the stamps, those images on the pages, but that just really bothered me, and so I ended up stamping those and fussy cutting them out. And it turns out beautiful. I love the way it works. So now I'm painting, watercolor painting with this Distress ink. Notice how I squish the lid towards the ink pad, and that picks up some of the ink. It just leaves a little pool of ink in the lid. And so I can pick up that ink with my watercolor brush or just a paintbrush, a wet paintbrush, anything like that. And it just really works as paint. And it's nice. It's a very simple process. You could also use the re-inker, but I find that this works very nicely. If I'm not doing a lot of this coloring, I'm just doing some very simple, just a little bit. So that's a nice thing. And I like how these Distress Oxides work. They give a very milky, beautiful, soft look when you paint with them. Now, you see me, I'm using these three colors, and I'm painting the bees. Those wings, give them just a little light coloring of the blue. It makes it look kind of see-through and translucent. I'm coming in now with texture stamps. These also came from Sweet and Sassy Stamps. It was the stamp of the month. It has 4 different textures. And I'm using one of them, and I'm stamping it in white around my page, and I'm going to come back in, stamp a little bit of it in black. Sometimes what I do with these texture type stamps is I don't even put it on a block. It just gives me more of a feel. I'm not trying to get a big, huge image, a full image. I just want a little bit of the impression. But I got too much of the black, so I came back over it with the white. Now I'm going to just glue these images down over the stamped images. So the ones that I cut out, the fussy cut, I'm going to glue them down over the stamped images. Again, I could have left them the way they were, but I really like how this looks when I stamped them and then cut them out and then colored them. Now I'm pressing them down with my acrylic blocks just to make sure that they stick and they don't poke up. So I'm just using all of my stamping blocks and just pressing them down, and I'm going to let those sit there for just a moment, and I'm going to come back on screen in just a second. So now I'm using a couple Documented Faith products, making a tab, and you saw these Bible tabs, and then these stickers. I'm using the sticker that says grow, and I'm going to put that up at the top. And I'm also going to use this washi tape from Documented Faith. This is the chevron. I tear it in half, and it tore very nicely. I like the way that just tore so cleanly, pretty much down the middle. I'm going to use that at the top and the bottom. I glued that at the top and then at the bottom. And I'm going to do a little bit of journaling, and I'll use one of these stickers in the middle of my journaling. So this page, again, it just reminded me of how, with all the mistakes and all the mess that it was, it ends up being something beautiful. And as the verse says, something perfect and complete and something pleasing to God. This page was something very pleasing to me. It turns out to be something, I mean, it's certainly not perfect, but in my mind, it's just beautiful. And it didn't start out that way. It was yucky, and I had so much trouble with the stamping here. But it's just like how God can cover us. He can cover our mistakes, and He can make something ugly and messy and crinkly and yucky and turn it into something beautiful and pleasing and perfect and complete. And that is such a beautiful message. God's grace covers us. So I'm topping it off with a beautiful bow from Ashley's Bow Boutique, and I will provide a link. That's an Etsy shop. And there's my page. I'm going to stamp the date. I added a little bit of journaling. I invite you to check out my new blog, julesjewels.blog, and you can check out this post as well as all my new posts that I'll be sharing there. Give me a follow, and if you have any comments or questions here, leave them in the comments section. I invite you to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and thanks so much for joining me today. God bless.